Hey, Armor Down. Ready for the 17th stanza of The Art of Peace? Peace originates with the flow of things. Its heart is like the movement of the wind and waves. The way is like the veins that circulate the blood through our bodies, following the natural flow of the life force. If you are separated in the slightest from this divine essence, you are far off the path. All right, so peace originates with the flow of things. The heart is like the movement of the wind and the waves. So think about peace as before the wind. It's the thing that moves the wind. And so if the wind is the heart, or if you're thinking about your own self, peace is what's the spark, or it's the origin. Your heart moves it, and then like what happens following the movement is like the path, right? So the origin, that's the key piece. Like when I talk about often in the training that you can be a part of if you join our Patreon, what I talk about often in the training is the chooser, right? So what are you choosing inside the moment? And with the four bells, we're choosing where to put our attention. Intentional attention. What's creating the intention? What's holding the attention? That thing, that's the divinity within. That's the spark. That's the piece that you're getting to. That's the piece that you're building on. That's the piece that you're developing confidence in. That's also the piece that's covered up by armor. And so instead of interacting with it, you're interacting with all the things that the armor is kind of keeping at the forefront. So that's what the 17th stanza is all about. It's pointing at that through nature. So it's like, if you go into your backyard, right, all these things are growing. The way they grow, the relationship of the sun and the rain, these are all the pieces that are on top of that little spark of life, that little piece. And that piece has its own flow. It has its own spaciousness. It has its own patterns. It has its ups. It has its downs. It has all of it. And it says, and this is really significant, if you're separated from this, even in the slightest, you're way off the path. If you've ever seen the show Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, a good example of the opposite of that is you see these characters, and in their minds they think they've got things figured out, and they're straying further and further from the path of goodness into the path of like darkness. And you can see that even though they're in a sense they're trying to make good out of their bad decisions, that the path keeps leading in these terrible twists and turns that just sucks them further and further in. But that's the opposite, right? So each seed you plant of goodwill, just like in nature, each seed you plant kind of fosters the growth of this, and your heart's a part of it. Anyway, I'm going around and around and around. But the statement, right? The statement that I'm now signing off all of my videos on is, you're always one mindful moment away from the best version of yourself. And it's not just the best version of you, it's the closest connection that you can make to this flow that's always there. Call it religion, call it God, call it spirit, call it whatever you want, but it's there. And when you armor down and get to that and participate with that, no matter what shows up, because the armor is going to come back, blah, 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 but it's not going to stay, because you recognize that you're always one mindful moment away from the best version of yourself. And so that's the training, that's the practice. And when we do the four bells, we're looking at how to get to the best version of yourself through these skill sets, right? The skill set of first bell, second bell, third bell, fourth bell. And there's always that opportunity to get back to the best version of yourself. So don't forget that we're offering this training through Patreon. And I think it's only $5, or it's a pretty small amount of money that, will give you the opportunity to participate and really train at this stuff. Because if you actually believe that there's more going on than you're able to kind of conceive of, then the way to get to that more going on is to armor down.